Welcome everyone to the other side of the world, effectively. We are back on a little bit of a European run here at Brands Hatch. This is the Advanced Mazda MX-5 series presented by Heusinkveld. And what a race we have in store. Qualifying currently underway. Drivers should be done here, and as you can see at the top right, about 3.5 minutes. As qualifying is currently underway, let's take a look at the schedule that we have upcoming and what we've had so far this season. Landmark Park was won by Michael Folds. We weren't able to cover that race, but he did win that split. Sven Hillehold had won at Watkins Glen. We saw Canadian Tire Motorsport Park Nicholas Shepard win in a surprise win. The Bend Motorsports Park was Joe Holmes with a decisive win. Road America had John Moe III go from third to first on the last lap. And then we are here today at Brands Hatch. We go to the Nürburgring next week, and then in 2 weeks we hit the Zolder, and then we go back to the U.S. for Road Atlanta, Virginia, and Mid-Ohio, then I believe back to Australia for Oran Park. What a season we've had so far. This is the halfway point of this season as well. And oh boy, this is going to be wild. We have drop weeks taking effect in 2 weeks. So only the top 8 points will be counted. Sorry, the best 8 weeks will be counted out of the 12 for these drivers. Again, qualifying still currently underway. Let's go ahead and see if we can get some live pictures. I can already think of one driver that we can take a look at. It's going to be the number 18 this week of Michael Coates. Not sure if he's currently on the lap or if he's about to set the lap, but regardless, he will be crossing the start-finish line this time by. And he goes up to 11th place. And it looks like he does complete his time. So this time it will be, I thought I was going to go for another lap, but it looks like it will be going into the qualifying, the end of qualifying. There we go. And we'll be heading into the starting grid. It's going to be, I believe, pole on the left-hand side today, as Michael Folds will be on the pole position alongside Ishmael Oblal. Saw him last week. Nicholas Shepard starts third. Fourth place is going to be Charles Wolfe. Fifth place is going to be James Curzon. Then sixth place is going to be Matt Burgess. If not Matt yeah, it's going to be Matt Burgess. Row number 4 holds John Moe III, last week's winner. He'll be starting off in the 7th place position. There we go, getting everything set up. We have Thomas Senator starting in 8th place. 9th place is Daniel DeLiberti. Rounding out the top 10 is Frankie Sugamelli. Michael Coates has qualified 11th. We saw the end of his run. Taxato starts off in P12. Wesley DeCruz 13th. Jean-Francois Saint-Pierre 14th. Kevin Kramer starts 15th. Matt Kruger 16th. 17th place is Guillermo Garcia. Logan Frey starts off in the 18th place position. We have Wayne Taylor starting off in 19th. 20th is Kelly Poynor. And Ben Mylink starts off in the 21st position. I'll be rolling here shortly, just waiting for the rest of the drivers to grid. We have Matt Burgess, Michael Coates yet to grid. They will start 6th and 11th, respectively. See the gaps on the grid for now. We'll see how things fare for these drivers as we await the green flag to fly. Both drivers have lined up. All eyes going to be on the starting lights. The revs rise, and they drop as the green flag flies here at Brands Hatch. See some side-by-side battles throughout the field, especially in the back portions as well, as multiple drivers will be going side-by-side, especially off in the back. Ben Mylink is around, I believe, in the back. He is, number 20, not having a good start to his race so far, but we've got 30 minutes left as Michael Folds leads the field out of the final corner. It's going to be the Indy layout this week, so no doubt some drivers may be running into lap traffic for this week. We'll see how that fares as we continue throughout this event. But it's going to be side-by-side. Nicholas Shepard on the right-hand side cuts across back to the racing line, moves himself up to second. Let's see what happened with the number 20 car here off the start. Contact was definitely made as two drivers are around live. We'll come back to that. It's the 6 and the 12, John Moe III and James Curzone. What happened with the 20 on the start? Tries to go around the outside. Maybe tries to cut back left. Did he clip the grass? Yep, just ever so slightly. Swings the MX-5 around. But Daniel Diliberti also has a little bit of contact as well. He's actually off in pit road. Is that number 15? He is heavily damaged. I'll see if we can get a shot of what happened here with James Curzone and John Moe III. John Moe III and the 6 both make contact, and Daniel Diliberti looks like his incident was the same, except with a much worse incident. Oh my goodness, much worse consequence for the 15 machine. So two cars in that same section, in that corner exit up to number 3, I believe, have spun in some sense, one of which have nailed the wall. And that means Diliberti is effectively out of this race. Only in lap number 3 as Toxato is out as well. And there's contact up ahead. Logan Frey and Kevin Kramer as well. 4 drivers running into issues early on. And one of the 4 drivers is continuing on. That is number 20. He got lucky, all things considered. But 3 drivers are pretty much out. Let's see if we can run this back one more time. What happened to the number 11 machine of Toxato? Shock DNFs, if I do say so. We haven't really seen these drivers run into some sort of issues like this. Sato cuts across, off just wide, and just no grip, turns himself on the number 10. And then they make further contact up ahead as well. And the 10 just nowhere to go. I'll take one more look at this, but I am genuinely surprised 3 drivers are out with heavy, heavy damage. Sato cuts across Kevin Kramer. Kramer, I think, has steering damage as a result of that. Oh my goodness, there's a 4th driver involved there. Is that Jean-Francois? It is. That's number 17. He had nowhere to go. I saw him off. I don't know if he was in a separate incident or not, but now a 4-car incident, so it's 5 cars that are out. I genuinely cannot believe what has occurred over the first 5 laps of this race. Again, shock DNFs for some of these drivers, so multiple drivers are running into issues. The 20 of Ben Mylink has gotten off scot-free, all things considered, with how all 5 cars, we now have 5 cars that are out effectively. Kevin Kramer being one of them. We got Logan Frey, Toxato, Jean-Francois Saint-Pierre, Kevin Kramer, and Daniel Diliberti all out from 17th to 21st. And Ben Mylink, a driver who technically had an incident on the opening lap, he's doing fine. He's in 16th. And while taking a look here at this battle for the 10th place position between the 12 of James Curzone and the 13 of Wesley DeCruz. It's not the first time we've seen Wesley here. I believe the 3rd time we've seen him here in this series so far. Could be the 4th time, if I remember correctly. These laps will take by pretty quickly, so now it's a matter of these front 2 runners just working together and trying to create a gap between themselves. As Michael Folds and Nicholas Shepard go off into turn 1, we take a look back at 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, being Charles Wolfe, Ishmael Oblal, Matt Burgess and Tom Sanders kind of in the battle of their own. I love the look of that number 7, by the way. The chrome on that blue. Absolutely beautiful. In fact, that's on the entire car. Almost looks factory new after everything is all said and done. Very good livery for that number 7. I take a look back at last week's winner, John Miller III, sitting off in the 7th place position here. I think it seems to be going fine and dandy for him so far. Not much to worry about. Although I believe Tom Sanders has got to worry about trying to find the perfect lane to pass Matt Burgess as he tries to go around the outside. Just up ahead, Ishmael and Charles are side by side. Ishmael goes up to 3rd. Matt Burgess tries to defend, just barely cuts across in front of Tom Sanders, who goes sideways. He's not in the racing line. He doesn't hit the wall, just holds the brakes, and he will continue on. I don't know if that was contact or not. It was very, very close, all things considered, and we saw it from a pretty good angle as it happened. Let's take a look from up above. Oh, that's what happened. Contact initially, and no, it was the curb that caught out Tom Sanders. So there was contact, but that had nothing to do with the spin itself that Tom Sanders had suffered from. Taking a look back up front one more time. Michael Folds, Nicholas Shepard still first, second. Line astern for those drivers. John Miller III currently sits in now 6th place. Matt Burgess up to 5th. Charles Wolf looking at the back bumper of Ishmael Ublal, trying to close the gap. Let's go back here a little bit to this 3-car battle for 8th place. We got Frankie Sugamelli, James Curzon, Wesley DeCruz in the 16, 12, and 13 cars. There's a bit of an update on the drivers that were involved in the opening laps incident. Logan Frey, Tak Sato, Jean-Francois St. Pierre, and Daniel Diliberti are all officially out. You may have seen that on the timing tower. Kevin Kramer has decided to continue on to salvage what he can. It's getting a little bit foggy over here. No chance of rain for this week, though. In fact, the only chance of rain that we had throughout the season, I believe, was only Watkins Glen, but I can double-check the potential forecast for the rest of the season here in a few moments. But right now, we have to see Tom Sanders trying to go on a recovery drive as Garcia defends. Perfect lane for Guillermo Garcia. Tom Sanders going to be trying to find his way around as much as possible. Trying to throw that MX-5 around, trying to sling it every single direction that he can. He sees the opening, and he is there. He goes for it, down to the right-hand side. Left-hand side, rather. Cuts back across into the racing line, and just like that, he's back up to P11, but Garcia's right on the back bumper of that number 4 machine. I don't believe any moves will be made down in turn 1. We'll see how things fare. We see the group just up ahead, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Line astern as they enter turn number 1 once again. Over the curves, jumping over the curves with those right side tires is Tom Sanders. DeCruz and Curzon swap positions heading into the hairpin. That means it could have happened here, but no move from Garcia on Sanders. As for the weather forecast, the only time we have another chance of rain, it's going to be at VIR in, 4 weeks' time, I believe. It's going to be the Grand Course at Virginia International. Only a 15% chance of rain, though. But at the same time, Watkins Glen had a 16% chance, and it rained just at the tail end of that race. And it lasted about 5 or so minutes. So when there is a chance, there is indeed a chance. Taking a look at Sanders and Garcia, both of them have decided, well, not exactly decided, but both of them have started to push away from the number 14 machine of Kelly Poynor. who is new to the top split in terms of the recent broadcasts that we've been doing this season. First time we've seen Kelly here on the broadcast. And hopefully not the last time. In the meantime, it's not going to be the last time that Sanders and Garcia are battling. Garcia was looking to the left-hand side, but couldn't really get anything done there going into turn number 1. A lot of these drivers are, nips to the gravel there. A lot of these drivers are all line to stern, nose to tail for the moment. And there is a possibility of passing. It's just a matter of trying to capitalize on that opportunity as first and second go through the main straight once again. Let's take a look at this mini group for 5th, 6th, and 7th. As Ishmael Ablala and Charles Wolfe have decided to, I keep saying decided to, they just have broken away, potentially deciding to work together. Never really know with some of these races. That's Burgess was sliding a little bit in turns 1 and 2 there. Look at John Miller III having to defend. Coates had to look to the inside there. And Coates qualified the 11th, currently sits in 7th, so all things considered, not too bad as we see the wheel work and hear the tires just screaming in protest throughout that corner. These are relatively quick laps as well. Let's go ahead and ride on board Michael Coates and just take a listen to what it's like to have a lap around Brands Hatch. I can hear him short shifting there down the effective or de facto back straightaway just to not run to the back of John Miller. So a lot of these drivers running side by side. Wayne Taylor as well. Another driver that I mistakenly did not mention yet, that we have not yet seen, I believe, in the top split as of yet. His first race as well on the broadcast is in the background. That was Ben Meilink having a couple connection issues. Hopefully it'll sort itself out. Look at this defensive drive from Wayne Taylor, taking away the main racing line. I thought Kelly was about to try and loop it around the outside and just steal that position away. I think the 14 got the tires in the grass, but if that was the case, it didn't seem to be too devastating for number 14 machine, who currently sits in P14 for the time being. A lot of mini battles here throughout this track. If you take a look on the left-hand side of your screen at the timing tower, you'll see the gaps between the individual drivers. So you can see the gap between Folds and Shepard, then a 7-second gap to from Ishmael to Shepard, and then you see the half-second gap between, oh, wait a minute, we have a battle here for the 9th place position. DeCruz and Curzon battling side by side just a little bit. Sanders nearly, it's a little bit of a recreation of the incident that we've seen twice already there, and those left sides. In fact, this is the biggest group that we have so far here, from 8th all the way down to 12th. And it's going to be Sanders and Curzon battling side by side. Sanders trying to make his way back up through the field. Proving successful so far. At best, he could get P8. No safety cars in this series. Again, it is also an iRacing official series, so no safety cars in the road series in general on the service as of now, as of the date of this broadcast, but who knows, things could change. No one really knows except them. Well, one person that does know something is that Garcia had a chance to get around the outside of Curzon. Wasn't able to capitalize there just yet. Let's take a look back up at DeCruz, who may be trying to set up Sugamelli for a little bit of a pass here. A little bit of a blink there, but everything should be nice and stable for that number 16. Oh man, Sanders dove into that corner. I didn't think he would be that close on corner entry. But he is absolutely pushing that MX-5. John Miller and Matt Burgess have traded positions. And in fact, that's going to be Matt Burgess potentially going down to the right-hand side. He is there. He does see the gap. He goes there. You see him hit the brakes a couple just to try and get the car under control. But Miller will have the preferred lane here. Can Burgess hang it around the outside? Yes, he can. And with that, a stout and successful defense from the number 7 machine on the number 6 machine. In case you're new for this week, all the car numbers, this isn't the league, this is just the official iRacing series. And with that comes with rankings as well. So these drivers and their car numbers for this top split are all respective of their individual iRating in this split. So car number 6 and 7 are battling side by side and have the 6th and 7th highest iRatings out of these drivers. And the higher you finish, the better your iRating, the higher your iRating goes. The lower you finish, the lower it goes. And that's how you get sorted into things like the top split. And it's definitely showing that it's very effective and that two of these drivers are 1,000% right next to each other in terms of performance, as Miller puts up a stout battle one lap later against Matt Burgess. Can Burgess try and capitalize here? Doesn't seem to be so as of now, but it could always try again in the last 12 and a half minutes that we have here for this week. Michael Coates just lurking in the background here. Car number 18. Showcasing that he is not indeed the 18th ranked driver, that's for sure, as he sits 9th on the track, 7th on the track, correction, as Matt Burgess goes a little bit wide, and that's going to open the door for Michael Coates. But look at the try to crossover. Attempted crossover for Matt Burgess, but unfortunately nothing doing there for Burgess. So Coates now has his sights set on a top 5 finish, where Miller wants to make, I believe, at least in the recent weeks, 2 for 2, to put it lightly. Taking a look back at the Brewing P8 battle with Tom Sanders, who's, well, good timing. I think he's just about to make his way through on Wesley DeCruz, as Garcia is going to try and at least peek a nose there. Is he going to try and help the number 4 machine of Tom Sanders? Looks to be so. Although backs out to the main racing line, it'll be side by side, at least you would think. Look at the defense that DeCruz is putting up here. Is Sanders going to go for it? No. Hard defense, closing the gap, making sure that there's absolutely no opening. DeCruz doing a fantastic job holding these 4 cars behind, but for how much longer can he do so? He's got 10 minutes left. 10 minutes and 52 seconds left, and continuing to count down. Taking a look back up at the battle that has now separated itself off from a 3-car battle for P5. It's not a 2-car battle for P6. As throwing the car into turn number 1 is Michael Coates. Goes not too wide, just holds on to it. Is he going to try and make a dive at the last second? Decides against it. What about this battle for P8? DeCruz has a little bit of breathing space between himself and Sanders. I did see the position change between Burgess and Coates a little bit earlier. So that is why that there's a little bit of a larger gap between those two and John Miller III. See if Sanders is able to get anything done here against DeCruz, as Garcia will be looking to try and follow through. Sugamelli on the outside looking in terms of a top 10 finish. And James Curzone sitting 12th place in car number 12. And back up front, at least of this group, for P8, it's going to be Tom Sanders making his way to the right-hand side of DeCruz. Is DeCruz just going to let him through? Looks to be so. and they'll cross right back onto the racing line. Will he decide to make a move? No. Sanders goes defensive. Could DeCruz hang it around the outside? Well, he's going to be on the outside, just not of Sanders. It's on the outside of Garcia, who was hard on the brakes going into that corner. What a move from Garcia. What an attempt. The pass wasn't complete, but still an attempt nonetheless. Just to remind DeCruz that, hey, I'm still here, by the way. Absolutely fantastic battling in this little group that we have here for the top 10 positions, for the end of the top 10 positions. They're all single file for now. Let's take a look back at P6 as Coates does peek a nose in to the right-hand side of Burgess. He won't necessarily be on the preferred racing line. Burgess will have that this time by. Unless Coates could be harder on the brakes, he switches back after putting the tires on the grass, hard on the brakes, swaps positions, swaps lanes, and they'll go side by side into this last long corner as a stout defense and a firm close of the door for Coates, but opens right back up because here comes Burgess back to the left-hand side, right-hand side rather. And just like that, they're back in P6 and P7. Coates tries to look to the right-hand side, left-hand side. I keep looking at the camera perspectives. Look at this, hanging it around the outside. Maybe a little bit less on the brakes is Coates. And they'll go side by side into the hairpin corner. They just barely make contact, if at all. Coates tries to hang it around the outside. Is he going to try and do the same thing that he did last lap? No, he's not quite there yet. Unfortunately, he's stuck behind Matt Burgess, so he will not be able to make that move. But he is still there, just lurking, just waiting. Throwing the MX-5 around, peeks around to the outside lane. Not able to get anything done except just try and gain another run. We got 7 minutes left at the start finish line, effectively 7 laps left, give or take maybe 2 laps, and it's a expected 35 lap race. We're on lap number 27 of the predicted 35 lap race, with how the times have been going throughout the field, and mostly for the leaders especially. And I'm probably about to have a few battles on our hands, one of which is Garcia and DeCruz for 9th place. DeCruz stuck on the outside of Sugamelli, who has his first look at the inside of the top 10. Not able to make a move, though, as DeCruz had just closed the door at the last second. Somehow, both of them avoid making contact with each other. And Garcia is going to be leading this group of, from now, 9th to 12th place, as Tom Sanders has set his sights out on this battle that's currently ahead of him, about 4 seconds ahead. It's between Coates and Burgess once again. Coates just barely makes it to the right-hand side. He'll be hard on the brakes on the preferred lane. He needs to preferably clear Burgess, who tries to peek the nose in to set himself up for the better racing line, but that's not going to be the case. So Coates firmly now about 7/10 of a second ahead of Matt Burgess. And that battle may be all said and done, but with how small this track is and how much that these drivers can really pull the gaps between each other, especially with a little bit of the slipstream, there is a chance that this battle could still continue on. We'll keep an eye on the gap in the meantime. As throughout the front, pretty much ever since we started, it has been Michael Folds and Nicholas Shepard leading the way. Shepard started 3rd, made his way up to 2nd after getting by Ishmael Ablal, who has just been on his own effectively throughout this race, but maybe not for too long, because Charles Wolfe has been closing gap throughout this race and throughout these latter stages of these laps. They matched lap times last time by at the start finish line. It was a 52.346 for Ishmael, and Charles had a 52.338. And this time by could be a different story, especially with a slipstream that's just barely lurking there for that number 8 machine. It was a 52.430 for Ublal and a 52.450. Actually, 52.438 correction for Ublal and a 52.450. So effectively matching lap times. And speaking of which, well, last time by, just about a tenth of a second faster was Matt Burgess and Michael Coates. Sugamelli has moved his way up to P11. A lot of battles taking place all over this track here as we make our way into the final 4 minutes and just about predicted 5 laps to go. It's not going to be time plus 1 lap. Instead, once the timer basically hits anywhere under, looks to be 52 seconds, basically 51 seconds or less, and it will be the final lap. And you'll see that change on the timing up in the top left. I'll have that green flag icon there up for reference. It's been these two up front throughout the entire event so far, but how much longer will they be willing to stay line astern? At least more specifically, when will Nicholas Shepard decide that it is time to go? Because one would think, well, you would wait until the final lap to make the move, but sometimes that could be a detriment to your strategy of just having this massive gap. You have all this time available. Granted, you've been trading lap times between each other throughout this entire event, and it does seem logical to wait until the last lap, but sometimes, well, you never really know. Driver pushing and trying to make a pass opportunity after they've been leading for so long on the second to last lap could prove to be their undoing. So Shepard decides to go effectively with 2 laps to go. He could find himself in a better position than trying to make a move on the last lap, but you never really know unless you try. We are not quite at that 2 to go point just yet, but he has been showing the nose. He has been allowing Michael Folds to defend, but for how long? Because now it looks like Shepard has been done waiting. He's decided now is the time to make the move. Nothing doing as of yet. With that kind of a mistake from Michael Folds, now it's the time to go. Shepard to the right-hand side. On the inside of Folds, and he'll make the pass. Goes into the lead for the first time this race. Folds has fallen back to second. Again, that could have been pretty much the point for Nicholas Shepard. Putting the pressure on the driver that has been defending throughout the entire race. It may have been proven to be a successful strategy. This time by will be 2 laps to go. We will not get the white flag this time by, but rather the next time by. With 1 minute and 15 seconds across the start-finish line, Folds stays in line behind Shepard. Will he be the one to try and make a move on the final lap? In fact, I don't think he's going to be waiting. He looks to the right-hand side, decides against it, though. That could have been the opportunity for Folds. They have about a 10-second gap between themselves and third place of Ishmael Ublal. Could that have been the point that Folds could have taken the opportunity to make the move for the race win? Yes, these two cars have been line astern and trading lap times and sticking with each other throughout the entire race. Ishmael has been passed by Charles Wolfe with 2 laps to go. This time by, it's going to be the final lap here at Brands Hatch. With 20 seconds left on the clock, the time will expire. The white flag will be shown. It's going to be the final lap this time by as Folds goes way off the track into the gravel. And that brings up the point that I just said the last time around could have been the opportunity that he had. And it turns out to be that it was the opportunity. Look at Charles defending against Ishmael. Up out front, it is Nicholas Shepard. Ishmael is going to try and look to the inside lane. This time by out of the final corner, it will be the number 3 machine of Nicholas Shepard picking up another win this time. And it's going to be at Brands Hatch. This week, Nicholas Shepard is on top as he wins at Brands Hatch, and it's a second win of the season. Michael Folds goes second. Another podium for that number 2 machine as Ishmael has gotten by Charles Wolf. It's going to be side by side to the line, and at the last second, it is going to be Ishmael with a stout defense in the final few corners. This is a battle for P8. Tom Sanders and Guillermo Garcia. Can Garcia get there in time? No, doesn't look to be so. But could still be a battle, and it is between Kelly Poymore and Mark Kruger. Kruger just gets the spot, I think, at the start-finish line, and he does. And that was for P14. And what a race this was. What an event. Absolutely incredible job by all involved. And only, well, I would say technically one major incident. Was more a few major incidents if we count the multiple cars that were involved with the 4-car incident that had occurred. But regardless, still a very, very clean event aside from the opening couple of laps. And what a race that we have just seen here at Brands Hatch. And it has absolutely delivered. I'll go ahead and throw up the finishing results here up on screen as Nicholas Shepard has proven to be successful here at Brands Hatch. And what a way to make a statement a little bit. Decided to not wait until the final lap to make the move, and then Folds with 2 laps to go saw the gap. He had the opportunity. He decided to wait and go again for the next lap, but unfortunately him going wide in turn 1 looked to be the undoing for him. But still, a podium finish for Michael Folds. Ishmael Leblanc with a fantastic battle between Charles Wolf. He finishes in 3rd back on the podium. Charles Wolf finishes in 4th. John Miller III with a, relatively speaking, quiet 5th place finish after he managed to get ahead of both Michael Coates. I say both. It's more Michael Coates, Matt Burgess, and Tom Sanders, who finished 6th, 7th, and 8th, respectively. Especially with those 3 battling amongst themselves, it was a pretty easy separation. Well, I say Tom Sanders. It was more Michael Coates and Matt Burgess. Tom Sanders has broken away almost at the very end between Guillermo Garcia and Wesley DeCruz, who round out the 9th and 10th place positions, as well as a few other drivers on just barely on the outside looking in, that being Frankie Ciccamilli and James Curzone. Both of those two were battling amongst themselves for 11th and 12th. Wayne Taylor finishes in 13th. 14th place is Mark Kruger, who we saw in a side-by-side finish across the start-finish line, and you see the gap. It was a 0.03 of a second flat between both of those drivers, where Kruger had just gotten ahead of Kelly Poynor. So props to Kelly Poynor for a 15th place finish for this week. Ben Mylink, a quiet race for him. In fact, he did end up retiring for the 16th place spot. Not sure what happened to him. I'll have to go ahead and get another look. May have been involved in a solo spin that we unfortunately didn't catch. We'll get a look at that once we're able to. Kevin Creamer as well had not finished this race as well. He made his way up to 17th, but then I decided to pull it into the virtual garage after all everything was said and done. Logan Frey, Tak Sato, and Jean-Francois St. Pierre, as well as Daniel Diliberti up in the 21st position, have all been involved in a lap, I believe, 3 incident. And that resulted in them being taken out of the event. But what a race this was. Absolutely fantastic job by all these drivers to keep it at least as clean as possible. After everything has been considered, everything's been sorted, we move on to probably, well, definitely the longest circuit for next week. And next week, we head to a fantastic circuit. It's been known, of course, around pretty much the entirety of sim racing at this point, let's be honest, but going to be a very, very fun week, as next week we head into the Nordschleife circuit, and it's going to be the I'm going to mispronounce this. I believe it's the Grand Strecke circuit, including the it's going to be including the GP layout as well, and not the mini bypass of the first hairpin and completely cut around. It's going to be the entire circuit. So a long, very long week, quite literally ahead for not only these drivers, but us in the booth. I say us, it's just me. But regardless, it's going to be a lot of fun for next week. 4 laps are on the docket for the Nordschleife. It's going to be one heck of an event to tune into for next week. Especially considering that one incident can cost the driver for the entire race. So we'll see how things fare next week. Tune into the Racing Line Network next week, and we'll see you in Germany at the Nordschleife.